So now I have set up a spine, pelvis, and we already have an indication of where the rib cage is here, but for the heck of it, why don't we just complete that? So at the top of the neck you have a slightly tilted ellipse. Go ahead and find the bottom of that ellipse. He's a little barrel chested. We're not going to worry about things like the muscles on the chest, the pectoral muscles, but we are going to go ahead and find the pit of the neck, and this corresponds to where the top of the sternum is. I want to go a little lighter purple than that when I draw in the sternum. For simplicity's sake, we'll treat the sternum as if it goes all the way down to the base of these ribs. It doesn't really matter. So we've got this point in space moving around. And go ahead and call this layer 4 bones, because they are the bones of the body. And we'll figure out where this kind of shoulder area is going to be moving. Don't want that to be too... Ooh, no. Oh, I lost all of my pretty colors. Let me hit V and click off that. Hit B for brush. See, that happens to everybody, where things get a little messed up. Let me go in and select kind of a pink at this point to see where the shoulder is moving. And all that trouble I just went through with this whole bony construction is just because this darn shoulder does this. Goes from here to here. And you may be thinking, Brandon, that doesn't really matter. Well, it does if you're animating this and you're trying to make it look professional. Show like The Simpsons, show like Family Guy even, if that shoulder just kind of shifted, you could just show the shoulder shifting without any sort of an effect of it being attached to the body. Even so, within the character layout itself, there probably was an attempt to make this visible and make sure this feels attached and part of the main body. And for feature quality animation, that's absolutely essential for this to happen. And for you students, I want you to understand that's how this is moving on the body. Right? Really didn't get into the why of this character. We're doing much more of the how does it move. Although the why is just that they're animated, they're playing their instrument. So now you have this movement of this arm moving backwards and forwards. That means this is sliding over the front of the rib cage. And now we can go in and start figuring out our arcs. So the bones, I think the pink is going to be adequate for the bones. This is kind of showing where these arcs are. So these aren't really the arcs yet, except for the case of the wrist. So I'll call this arc slash. We'll see if this will let me use a slash in here. ELB. I know that's elbow from years of animation. Better save this thing so I don't lose everything I've done up to this point. So go up to File, Save As, and in File, Save As, I'll just select the desktop as my destination. Call this here demo play. Help if I could spell. Play sitar. I'm sure I'm butchering how to write that. 001. Flash document is fine. Save that. And so we've got that movement going on. I think this red works well for this as well. So we've got our basic movement of the shoulder set up. So now I can go in and add in some additional arcs. Create another layer. Call this layer arcs. It seems very complicated, I suppose. It would to me, especially as a student. But these are necessary steps. Let me see, how far along is it? Make sure I turn my onion skinning back on. So again, this is where the layers start becoming a little bit difficult to keep track of. Just going to extend this out. And I've got my arcs. I seem to be using kind of warm colors for my arcs, so I want to maintain that continuity. That'll be adequate. This is a very simple arc. Um, Now the temptation is to make this like, is this going to be an arc that goes down like this, or is this going to be an arc that goes like this? And I'll give you a second to think about how that arc should go and why. Okay, well you can look from the bony placement that this isn't really doing a loop down like this. It's definitely kind of going above like this, or it may even feel more like it's going straight like this. But the problem with drawing an arc like this is, first of all, it's not an arc, it's a movement. If you're going to do a movement even, you're far better off drawing an arrow to mentally calculate it that's shaped more like this. This is one of my difficulties when I first got to Family Guy. Peter Shin, the director there, explained this to me, where he said there's a world of difference between an arrow like this and an arrow like that, in the sense that this arrow is showing something spatially moving to and from us. And while you might say, oh yeah, I get it, Peter, this is how you set it up. Well, no, this, once you do this, you make a commitment to how this is physically operating. So you're going to want to remember things like this. I'm going to go ahead and Command G group this, hit Q so I can transform it. I want to rotate it from this point. And you see, wow, like even this, crudely as I've drawn it, starts giving you a better idea of that moving backwards and forwards. However, it's still just kind of like this grating thing coming closer and further from us. It's much better to actually put in an arc like this, where we feel it's kind of moving along a track, and it's moving forwards and backwards. Yeah, technically I could draw in that shape showing it coming forwards and backwards. It's getting way too complex for me. But that arc is kind of indicating how that's going. Let me get the arrows off of that, because that's not as helpful as figuring out where our points are. You see that I've drawn these two slashes? That indicates how far these are going to go. So let me just go in and obliterate some of this stuff that I just made. Control S and save that. And now this business with the elbow, its swinging is good. I can see that there's some loss of length of this bone as I move through. I did try to fix it by placing these condyles higher up. This length of this arm also is problematic, though it's thickening as it comes towards us. So what I've got is a pretty efficient arc there. I think that the arm probably lifts up slightly as it goes up and over. So I think I'm going to have to do some of this business here where this rotates up and around again. So let's see if I can freehand that in one pass. That's one drawn pass of how that goes. So the elbow is kind of sticking out behind the back. There's an overlap here of how that goes. Clearly this arm is in front of the rib cage, and so maybe I could draw in a little bit of an indication of an arrow coming forward. And I don't think that, again, I said that all that movement happens in the wrist, which is actually happening here in the rotation of the radius over the ulna. So I can kind of get an idea that this is coming up and over like that. So that completes our arcs for the time being. The bones I'm definitely going to leave invisible for the time being, because it's getting a little busy on here for us to keep track of it. So our arcs are going to be placed together. I'm going to go ahead and create a folder to keep my arcs together. So you see this is folder 1 that I created by clicking on the folder icon. I could call this ARCS, arcs, and I'm going to throw the elbow and the arcs in. And go ahead and turn that see-through off. Now I can control the see-through this way. And my one regret is I did place the Dorn neck in that area, but I can't do anything about that now. Don't want to take too long fixing that while you're all watching this. So go ahead and set this to here. Don't know, I keep on messing that up. Let me try this one more time. Outline color, set you to this, click OK. There, it finally changed. So there we have that set. The bones I've made visible, invisible. The flow I definitely want to be able to keep. I'm not going to put that in with the arcs though, because that's its own thing. And the drawing, where I kind of put this all together, is on its own layer. I guess I'll go in and call this roughs. ROUGHS. Anim. The anim's not going to be visible, but I know it's there. So if I do drag this out, it'll make it easier to find things. I like to set things up so I can find them later on, so I'm not like, crying and weeping later on. So we've got the body language, we've got some arcs going for the rough animation. We're going to end this one right here and pick it up where I get into the facial expression.